Uh, I want to get to our next guest. I know that we have some folks holding online. Hang on, guys. We'll get to this guest and we'll get to your calls right quick. Adam Cooper. He is an oil and gas expert. He's been on the program before. Adam, welcome back to the Voice of Texas.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about economics this hour, and it doesn't get more hard-hitting on the economics of Houston than what's happening in the oil industry. It seems counterintuitive until you dig down a little deeper, but we have the Steelworkers Union on strike as oil prices are putting the squeeze on most of the oil industry. The steelworkers have gone on strike, rejecting not one, not two, but 5 contract offers from Royal Dutch Shell on behalf of oil companies, including ExxonMobil Corporation and Chevron Corporation, since the talks began on the 21st. What is behind the strike, Adam?
Well, I mean, they're just not happy with the amount of pay and the conditions that they're having to work in. And it's simple, really. I mean, it really is that simple.
Well, you know, my understanding is that on the refining end, which is where this union primarily has its foot put in the door, that it's kind of just the opposite. You know, most of the oil companies on the extraction end and the processing end, they are hurting right now a little bit because of the raw product drop in price. However, on the refining end, they like having cheaper material, right? And so their profit margin is able to expand as oil prices drop, and that's why these union workers are coming in and trying to get a better deal for themselves, yes?
Yeah, that is some of the case as well. I mean, what's happening is, as you know, oil prices dropped from $107 a barrel down to under $50 a barrel in less than 6 months. But we didn't see that quick of a decline in prices at the pump. We skipped a few places, if you really want to know the truth. We went from, we're at $3 and something a barrel or a gallon, to then all of a sudden we're, oil prices are dropping, and now we're at $3.15, and a barrel's at $75. Well, that's a huge change, and we never really saw that same change going on in the refined, end user.
Yeah, the end
we never
user,
saw it at pump.
Yeah, the end user portion. So. Do the steel workers have a case here? Because the way I see it is that now that the refiners get some breathing room with dropping oil prices and they can start making a little more money, now the steelworkers union wants a piece and as I understand it, these end users, the refiners, are trying to update their infrastructure so as to keep these individuals underemployed. As times get, because ultimately we know the oil prices are going to go back up again. So as I understand, these unions are just, as unions typically do, they just want to get what they can get. And the idea that their parent companies are making money seems a repugnant idea to some of these union thugs.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is on both sides. Both sides don't want to give in because both sides see the money that could be made off of it.
Right.
And there's a fine line that has to be walked. In the 80s when this happened, it lasted 3 months. This one could last longer. And if it lasts longer, then what's going to happen is it's going to cause oil prices to go back up. And in the end, it's going to end up costing the refinery more money because they like it on the downslope because they can scale how fast we see that going down. Now on the upscale, they're going to push that directly to the consumer as soon as the prices start going up, because if they don't, then they're losing money.
I got you. So Adam, by the way, Adam Cooper is my guest, oil and gas expert. Can we see a scenario here where we have inexpensive oil but expensive gas because the refiners are choking off the refining process, thus could we see that scenario where we have a barrel of oil down in the 40s, but gas prices start to creep up because of the stoppage?
Yeah, you could, but what will happen is the oil industry will not be able to get its product to the refineries because there will be a glut of oil behind it. So
see, and that's what I'm saying. That if the strikers get their way and they strike and they stay this long term, all of a sudden there's going to be a backlog of oil, and that's going to drive the prices down even further on oil because it's not being refined. But that will cause the gas prices to spike.
It will cause the gas prices and the price of oil to spike as well, because what's going to happen is you're once you do come back online, and right now we have 10% of our refineries in the United States going offline. Mm-hmm. And once they go offline, that oil backs up. Well, they can still only refine a certain amount a day, and the demand is still going to be higher than, as high as what it was when they went offline.
Sure.
So it's really not going to change oil back down negatively, but it could have a spike in oil prices that we could see later on. And then as they get through that oil and it starts to level back out, that's when you could see another drop. But I think in the near term, we're talking about seeing oil prices go up along with this.
Okay.
And then once all of a sudden it does catch up and you have that excess oil then on the market that can be refined, it's going to be at a much cheaper price for them to produce it at.
Adam Cooper, oil and gas expert, thanks for carving out time for us today on The Voice of Texas.
Thank you.